Hello and welcome to Hobby Starter by JewelleryMaker. If you are somebody who's maybe new to crafting or you're wanting to learn a little bit more, then this sort of program is absolutely perfect for you. It's a great way for us to be able to guide you step by step with, of course, our experts. We've got Mark with us today, and then you can always kind of cross over to our websites or to our live channels as well and find out so much more and continue to build on these skills that we're taking you through. So this is Mark.
Hello, good afternoon.
Lovely to have you with us.
Hello.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your sort of background to craft?
I have been crafting ever since I can remember as a small child.
Really?
And I would take on a new craft, and after 6 months I'd move on to the next craft, and then 6 months on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And my background is horticulture. I'm a gardener by trade.
Yes.
And it must be 12 and a half years ago now, working in a busy garden centre in Oxford, and dislocated my back stupidly, and I was off work.
Oh, so I couldn't do it?
So I couldn't do it, I couldn't lift anything.
Oh,
and
wow.
I had to take 3 months off work.
Okay.
And got up one morning and started channel flicking through the TV.
Yeah.
And who should I come upon but JewelleryMaker. Now JewelleryMaker had only been running for 6 months. It was a brand new fledgling company.
Yeah.
And two things that got me hooked: the effervescence and the energy of the presenters, and the products. Where could you sit in the comfort of your own home and buy genuine gemstones?
And at such affordable prices.
Amazing prices, and I was absolutely hooked.
Okay.
And back in the day, JewelleryMaker used to run what they called the Sunday Sofa Challenge.
Okay.
Every Sunday, they would invite 2 viewers into the studio to take part in the live show.
Oh, right.
So I sent my email, sent my details, and they invited me along. That was 12 years ago.
And is that how you then became a guest
designer?
designer?
So for 2 years, I was part-time back at the garden centre and doing my guest designer work for JewelleryMaker. And it got to a point where physically I couldn't juggle both.
Yeah.
So I had to sadly give up the garden centre. I became guest designer full-time for JewelleryMaker. And then a year ago, it's exactly a year ago, Hobbymaker came into the stable, and I've been hooked on card craft.
So you're going to be on there with us.
So I'm probably going to be on there as well.
Brilliant.
And one of my other hobbies is I'm an avid cross stitcher.
Okay.
So Sewing Street as well. So every single department in Warrior Craft now, I seem to be having a little delving with. So it's been amazing.
But I think that's what's so brilliant about crafting, is it's so addictive, but you can just move from one to another to another.
Absolutely. Everyone, what I found is everyone, all the crafting fraternity are so lovely.
Yes.
And we're all like-minded, and it's just wonderful.
Absolutely. So what are we going to do today? What are we going to look at?
So one of the first disciplines that I learnt and I brought to JewelleryMaker is macrame. Now macrame is one of the most beautiful, simple knotting techniques there is, and everybody has seen the Shambhala bracelets in Boots the Chemist or the big department stores. They're absolutely everywhere. And macrame has been around since probably the 13th century, and it derived from artisan weavers would make their rugs or wall hangings, and they had all the loose fronds from the warps and the wefts. Okay. What do they do with them? So they started knotting to make these amazing braided ends, and it just took over from there. Yeah. And it came over here. It came over here about the 1800s. Okay. And again with rug making and wall hangings. Yeah. And then brought right back up to date in the 1970s. We all know the plant hangers in the 70s, the knotted plant pot hangers. And then it must be about a good 10 years ago now, the Shambhala bracelet hit the market.
And if people haven't heard of the Shambhala.
So the Shambhala bracelet, we've got quite a few on here. Let me bring this one.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
So this is the Shambhala bracelet that you will all know and love. So this is your basic Shambhala. It's a knotted bracelet, and it's to help meditation and relaxation. And you're supposed to count the beads as you're wearing it. Yes. And then it has a sliding clasp and what we call the dongles. And that's what the Shambhala bracelet is all about. So
and that's simple to do. People
really
can do
simple.
it.
So this is what I'm going to demonstrate to you today. But as you can see by some of the items that I've bought to show you today, we've got bracelets, we've got necklaces, we've got earrings, we go from cord, we go into wire for evening wear and elegant. And as soon as you start adding beads and gemstones, and surprisingly, there are 5 knots.
5 knots. That's all you need to do all of that we can see there.
To do the whole world, not just here, but the whole world of macrame, there are 5 knots. Okay. So today I'm going to show you the 5 knots, which are really simple, and then I'm going to teach you from start to finish how to make the Shambhala bracelet. And once you've got this under your belt and you learnt those 5 knots, as you can see, the world is
so
your
just
oyster.
before we sort of go into demoing that, if people are at home and they're thinking, right, we want to sort of craft along with you, what sort of tools do they need to get?
Right, so here in front of me are just some of the cords
Okay.
that you can use.
Yeah.
Now, the only stipulation when you're working with genuine gemstones is the size of the drill hole.
Yes.
Okay, because there are two fundamental cords in your macrame. There's what we call the lazy strand,
Okay.
which runs through the centre of your work holding the gemstones.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have the working strands, which do all the knotting.
Okay.
Now, so your only provision is you need to make sure that one of those cords you decide to use fits through the whole of the gemstone.
I see, okay.
You can use any cord
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
outside. You can use the fine cotton right up to garden twine.
Wow.
But the only provision is the cord that will go through.
Gotta fit.
It's
Yeah.
got to fit. Okay. So before you start any project, just make sure that the cord you
Yes.
choose will go through your gemstones.
Yeah.
And a lot of the gemstones that we bring to air on JewelleryMaker, they go from 0.5 millimetre right up to 4 millimetre holes.
Yes, yeah,
And
yeah.
obviously, a few years ago, we introduced the world of seed beading
We
to
did.
the channel as
Yeah.
well, and they have much larger drill
Uh-huh,
holes, so you
perfect.
can go down the
Yeah.
seed beading route.
Yeah,
if
and that's
you
what's so
wanted to.
brilliant actually. If you want to just kind of head on to JewelleryMaker's website, you'll
Absolutely,
be able to
yes.
find all the products that are available on there. So you can see these bits that Mark's got, and then of course you can always order the bits that you want as well.
Absolutely.
And as I say, it's really reasonable prices as well to be able to get
It's brilliant.
started.
And macrame is such a, as I said, it's a really affordable,
Yeah.
really simple hobby. And what I find is that if you start a hobby and you learn simple techniques,
Yeah.
you build up a passion.
100%.
If we bring something to you that's very difficult, it might put you off straight away.
Well, it can be frustrating,
Yes,
can't it? And you can think,
absolutely.
whereas you do
Yes.
one thing, you think, I can do this. And then you look at what you've created,
absolutely.
and then suddenly you can go to something else, and it's just the start
And
of a
it's
journey,
addictive.
isn't it?
Macrame is incredibly addictive. I've probably bought a 20th of the macrame pieces that I've made on the
Really?
show.
Do you have a favourite
So-
piece, or?
Do I have a
How do you choose?
I really like the triple row. So I'm going to show you the single
Okay,
row.
yes.
This is the triple row where, as the name
lovely.
tells you, have 3 rows of beads instead of 1.
Okay.
And as I said, the gemstones just come alive when you start introducing to the multi rows. But I really like working with wire as well.
Yes,
but,
yeah.
But little steps. So we'll show you how to use the cords today, and then we'll move on to the wire at a later stage.
Perfect.
So here in front of me is just a little selection of the cords.
Yep.
So as I said, this is quite a thick, this is a nylon cord. So this is a 4 millimetre. So again,
Okay.
you will need quite a chunky gemstone or maybe a 6OC bead
Yes,
that
yeah,
would
yeah.
use the holes. Then we've got a thinner nylon cord. These are your 1 millimetre and 0.5 millimetre.
Okay.
And again, they come in so many different colours that you're always going to find a cord that will match the colour of your
Yes, yeah,
gemstones.
yeah.
Then we've got leather, which we do from 0.5 millimetre right up to 4
Okay.
millimetre size. So again, there's lots of different gauges and so many different colours. And I tend to use a lot of leather in gents pieces and gents macrame
Yeah, I like that.
bracelets as well, because we can't leave the gents
No.
out. Then we've got this product, which is called wax cord, which is a cord that has a very, very, as the name suggests, it has a very fine coating of wax
Okay.
on the outside. So this really is for beginners. This would hold the knots really nicely. When
So
you're
that's
coming,
because of the wax that it
because
will
of the
hold
wax.
them. Okay,
Yeah,
lovely.
Okay. So some of the cords are very soft, and you might have an issue when you're trying to get really tight with your tension.
Yeah.
But wax cord is wonderful.
This would be a great starter one then.
Then we've got silk cord.
Okay.
Again, this is when we come to make the bracelet, I'll talk to you about how you finish off the different cords, because you can either use a naked flame,
Okay.
which is that's probably my go-to,
Yeah, yeah.
or glue, and I'll explain that
okay.
one when we come to do the
Brilliant.
demonstration. Then we've got gauges of wire. And I'll just give you a quick overview on the wire. So for your lazy strand, which holds the beads,
Yes, yeah,
you
yeah.
would need a 1 millimetre or a 0.8 millimetre gauge.
Yeah.
So that's the thickness of the wire.
So the gauge, if you see that.
absolutely. And if you're making a bangle, you want it to be rigid. You want it
course you do.
to hold its shape.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you need a strong gauged wire
Okay.
on the inside. And then on the outside, I use 0.4
Yeah.
or 0.6. Now, probably 0.6 is my favourite gauge.
Okay.
But again, we'll teach you the fundamentals of the knots.
Yeah.
As I said, there are 5 knots, and 3 of the knots you can't use with wire.
Okay, right.
Okay, so
yeah.
definitely recommend starting cord.
Yeah.
And for me, there is only one cord of choice, and
Go on.
it's my ultimate favourite, and this is called Eslon.
Okay.
Now
Why is
we
it your
do
favourite?
Because it's a man-made material.
Yes.
It comes in every single colour of the rainbow.
Yeah.
So if you're neutrals, to your brights, to your rainbows, to your metallics, it's just the amazing cord. It's nylon, so it melts. Okay, so if you're making macrame bracelets with Eslon, you don't need to use glue.
Oh, right, perfect.
Okay? But you will need to use a naked flame. And when I come to do the demonstration, I'll show you.
Okay.
And this comes in 4 gauges now. Actually, we do 0.9, 0.5, 0.4, and 0.3.
Oh, super! So you can get the perfect one for your drill hole.
The perfect, absolutely, you can get the perfect one. So that's just a few of the cords that I use on my macrame.
Okay, lovely.
I'll slide this across.
Yeah, of course.
And what I've done is I've bought a selection of gemstones that I've used at one point or another on the show. So as you can see, we've got amazing colours, sizes. And these are all gemstones. So we've got things like tiger's eye, which we all know, aquamarine, we've got jaspers, we've got coated quartzes, all available on the website. And if you're doing the Shambhala bracelets, you probably want 10mm rounds. Okay, so go for the bigger size. And then for the triple rows, which I showed you earlier, you would downsize to the smaller beads because you wouldn't want 3 rows with, for example, a 10mm round. It would be very heavy and it would be very awkward and cumbersome to wear. But as I said, so not only do we have a cord for every occasion, we have a gemstone to match the cord and vice versa. So it's just amazing. So pop on the website. It's quite difficult actually to choose the colour of your cord or your gemstone first. So that's probably
so we've got to put them together.
Absolutely. So there's some of the gemstones. And as I mentioned in the introduction, since JewelleryMaker now sell things like crystal bicones, and we sell all of the Mayuki seed beads and the shaped glass beads. It just opens the world up
definitely.
Again.
And you're fine to use different shapes because I can see you've got some different rounds for the satellites, for example.
So these are the satellites, the lantern beads.
So it's not just got to be rounds.
We've got this is beautiful. These are rondelles.
Yeah,
so
really
if you want a more delicate, fine look, we've got rondelles, and we've even got these tiny little 3mm aquamarine. So they're really delicate if you want to go down the delicate route. And then we've got things like these are clear quartz. These are nuggets, so they don't even have a regular shape.
No.
But again, they're
great to know you can use them all.
You can use absolutely anything. They're amazing. So that's the gemstones. So we've covered the threads. We've covered some of the gemstones. And I think you'll be quite surprised just how simple the tools of the trade are.
Oh wow, that's all.
This is it. So I'm going to pop the gemstone. So this is the gemstone I'm going to use. I'll introduce you to that.
Look at the colours that's coming out of that.
It's just amazing. So this is a coated quartz.
That's
it's one of my favourites. You've got this amazing rainbow tones. So this strand alone has pinks, blues, yellows. So again, you can use any colour cord.
Definitely.
Fantastic. So put that to one side. This is all
that's it.
you need. Okay. So what we have the most important, and that is your macrame board. Okay. So this is the mini macrame board, and this is perfect for your bracelets. Okay. You can make necklaces on here. This is very warm.
Well, no wonder when you showed us, just a few of the bits you've created.
I've probably been through 40 or 50 macrame boards over the years, but I can't do without the macrame board. In the past, I would use a clipboard with a bulldog clip, and it's just not the same. So your macrame board, we do it in 2 sizes. This is the bracelet, and then we also do the necklace version as well, which is twice the height and width. And the macrame board, as you can see, we have a 1cm grid on the front, perfect for your bracelets, and inches as well. So the squares are inches, and the numbers around the outside to relevate to the inches as well. As you can see, all along the top, we have these little slots. So when I come to do the demonstration of the bracelet, we'll show you just how important they are. If you don't need to use the grid, it's plain on the other side. Okay. So that's the macrame board. It's made of memory foam. So it's absolutely fantastic. And if you're making bracelets every day, this will still last you a good 18 months, 2 years.
Oh, wow, okay. So good amount of time.
They're fantastic. They're fantastic. Then you need your cord of choice. So for the demonstration, I'm going to go for this silver grey Eslon, and this is your 0.9 because the quartz you tend to find has quite large drill holes. And you'll be able to use your thicker cord. Then you need a sharp pair of scissors. These are Fiskars brand. As you can see, I'm quite precious. I put my name on them.
You need to here. There's a lot of us around, isn't there?
So I put my name on there, so they're very precious to me. Then you need nail varnish.
Oh, okay.
Which is a strange one. So sometimes when you come to do your cording, the cord might fray at the ends. So what you do is and I'll show you when we come to do the demonstration, is you cut your cord and you just coat the last inch in your nail varnish, and that hardens and then it stiffens, and you're able to use that as a needle in effect.
I see.
So that's your
nice
nail varnish.
Tip.
then you won't need these today, but these are invaluable. Okay. If you're doing triple row bracelets, or if you're doing half hitch and double half hitch, which I'll explain to you in a moment, you may need some of these T-pins. Okay. So for example, we've got some bracelets. If I bring these across.
Yeah, definitely.
Here, so these bracelets here, can you see we've got the green bracelet here, and we've got the turquoise and pink here. Yeah. Okay, so this is half hitch and double half hitch. You will need to use pins because there's lots of cords. There's probably about 14, 15 cords.
Oh, right.
and you'll just need to balance them out. Yeah. But we'll cover that in a later show. Okay. So they're good to have if you ever see them, or they come in packs of 30, I believe. Okay. That's all you're going to need. You're only going to need one pack. Just make sure you have those. Then, as we mentioned earlier, there are two ways to finish your bracelet. There's your hypo cement, your jewellery making glue. Okay. Now this you would use if you were using any other cord but your Eslon, any nylon cord. Okay. I would use this. So something with your leather or your silk cord. If you use a naked flame on silk cord, it will blacken and it won't hold the knots together. Okay, so rule of thumb, me personally, you can use. I mean, obviously you can use glue with your Eslon as well if you don't want to use a naked flame. But any cord other than Eslon, use your JewelleryMaker glue. There's lots of different, there's E6000, which is a jewellery making glue as well. I prefer the hypo cement because it's got a very, very fine nozzle inside, which is perfect for getting into all those little nooks and crannies.
Perfect.
As for the aforementioned cigarette lighter, so I'm going to be using this on the demonstration today. Okay, so you will see a naked flame. And that is it.
Wow, okay.
That is all you need to get started.
That's not much at all, is it?
To get started in macrame.
Well, I think we're excited.
It's just amazing.
To see how we get.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you the 5 knots.
Okay, perfect.
And we're going to be using probably one of them today, but I'm going to show you the others as well. Lovely. Okay. So the macrame board, first of all. So as we mentioned earlier, we have the slots along the top and down the sides. Yes. So the first and important section I need to show you is how to attach your cord to your board. Okay, and this is where the macrame board comes into its own. So I've got the top of the board in front of me here. Okay, you can see the markings. So we're going to take our piece of cord, and we'll talk about measurements when we come to do the bracelet. Okay. So from the front, we're going to take our cord and we're going to pop it into the middle into a slot. Okay. So can you see it's coming from the front now to the back? Yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the cord up in the adjacent slot, so down through the first and up through the second. Okay, just give it a little pull, and then we're going to take our shorter cord underneath our main cord and pop it back up into the original slot. So that's now really tough, that's locked in position. With our second cord, as I said, when we come to do the demo, we're going to be adding beads first, but I just wanted to show you the knots. We're going to attach the cord in the bottom, the same slot, which is ideal for following with the grid. So through the slot, up through the next adjacent slot, underneath, and then into the original slot. So you should be able to, can you hear that? Yeah. You should be able to strum it like a guitar string. Okay, if you can do that, then you know that cord is nice and secure. Yeah, lovely. So with the macrame board, if I was going to be using this on a daily basis and using the same slot, this would give the slot, it would open up. So what you would do is you would just move 2 across. I see, and then 2 across. So making sure you're using it all. Absolutely. So, and again, if you're making earrings, for example, I would turn it horizontally. Right. So for bracelets, this is definitely and that just gives you sort of a longer lifespan with the macrame board. That's right, absolutely. So while this is attached, I'm going to show you knot number 1. Okay. Which you may have heard of, it's called the lark's head knot. Yes. So I'm going to turn my board horizontally. Now the lark's head knot is a holding cord. Okay, so I'm just going to cut a little piece off. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a small piece of cord and we're going to feed it underneath. Okay, so the loop is above. We're going to take the 2 ends underneath and we're going to attach. So now we have 2 cords ready to start our knotting with. Okay. Okay, so that's your lark's head knot. That's knot number 1. So I'll just take this off. So number 1 is your lark's head knot. Perfect. That's probably the least used of all of the knots. Right. That literally took seconds. That took seconds. So that's knot number 1. Yeah. So next I'm going to show you the half square knot and the square knot.
Okay.
And this knot, I will be the square knot I'll be using when we come to do the full demo. Okay. So we're going to take our cord exactly the same way of attaching. So through a slot, up through the adjacent, underneath, into its position. Then we're going to slide it down, underneath the slot, up, underneath, and out. So that's nicely attached.
Lovely.
Okay. So obviously when we come to do the demo, this will have gemstones on.
Yes,
we'll
of course.
Some gemstones on. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we do next is we take our working strand. So this is your lazy strand. Obviously it's lazy, it doesn't do anything. It's just to sit there to either hold the knots or hold any gemstones.
Okay.
So I'm going to take a longer piece of cord. And first of all, I'm going to show you the half square knot, which I have to say is my favourite of all the knots.
Right.
It's beautiful. So this is our lazy strand, and we're going to take our working strand. And I'll talk about measurements when we come to make the bracelet. So I'm going to take my working cord underneath, and we're going to bring the two ends up so they meet. So you've got equal length either side.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when you're doing the half square knot, you need to decide on a side. And it's strange, because I'm right-handed, I tend to do the left side. And I've met left-handers who do the right side.
Oh, really?
But it's entirely up to you.
Right.
What you can't do is swap sides halfway through.
Okay.
Because that half square knot becomes a square knot, and you'll see the difference when I show you the knots. Okay. So in Macrame, there are two letters of the alphabet. There's a D and a P.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the letter D I'm going to show you, which is going to be relevant for the half square knot. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got our cord. We're going to take our left side and we're going to do, if you imagine a letter D, a small letter D.
Okay.
Then we're going to take our right hand cord
and
we're going to drop it, staying on this side above the cord.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to pick up that cord, and can you see we've got corner bottom right and we've got corner top left.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the cord that we've just draped across, and can you see where they meet in the middle? It forms a cross.
Yeah.
We're going to take the cord underneath both of them and then lift them up diagonally into the corner.
Okay.
So once we've done the first knot, the cords will be attached and we're ready to go. So we're going to stay on the left side, so we know it's going to be letter D, letter D, letter D.
Yes.
So we do our letter D, we drop the right hand cord over the top, staying on this side. The most common mistake people make on this knot is they cross the lazy and then they get in a tangle. So as long as you stay on the right hand side, we're going to go underneath and pull up. Okay, so that's two. So we're going to do a letter D, drop down, underneath where they cross, and up.
Feels like it must be quite relaxing to do
This
this
is
as
lovely.
well.
This is lovely. And as I said, you can get quite a rhythm.
Yeah.
So you can sit on your lap, you can do it at the table, you can do it in the car, you can do it on an aeroplane. So it's wonderful. So can you see? I've done. So this will be my sixth move.
Yeah.
And can you see the twist?
Yes.
It's like a helix twist.
It's lovely.
Starting to form. So I'll do a couple more, and then I'll show you.
It's very pretty, isn't it?
And this is, as I said, this is probably one of my favourites, and lots of the viewers like the half, because it's very repetitive, because you're only doing one move and you get this beautiful
enjoyable to do, but also looks great.
Absolutely. So if I just show you the twist, you can see.
Yeah, fab.
And it does it all itself. It's very, very clever.
So clever. Just by knowing how to make these knots, it will create something like that.
So we've done the lark's head knot.
Yeah.
This is your half square knot.
Okay.
So now we're going to do the full square knot.
Okay.
So we'll pretend that we've not done this little section here. So I'm going to do, again, I always start on the left side.
Okay.
So we're going to do the left, which we now know. And then we're going to do the right. So we've done the letter D on this side.
Okay.
So we're going to do the letter P on this side.
I see.
Okay, so we've got a D on the left
Yeah.
and a P on the right.
Okay.
I'm going to drop the left hand cord over the top, staying on this side. So whichever side the cord is coming out of, you stay on that side.
Okay.
And then we're going to go underneath and pull. And it'll just take a couple of moments. So that's the left side. And then this is the right. So letter P, you drop the left hand cord down, go underneath and up. And I'll show you how different it looks. So that's the left side. and then we do the right side. And this is the knot that the Shambhala bracelet uses.
Oh, okay,
with
right.
the gemstones.
Yeah.
So I'll do a couple more. You can do it very quickly once you get the hang of it. It'll probably take you 3 or 4 minutes just to get it.
Yeah.
And then there'll be no stopping you.
That's what's lovely about it, really, is you can do it as fast or take it as slow as you want with something like this.
Yes. So I'll just finish off this side, and then
You can see it's completely different, isn't it, to the first one?
Okay, so I'll just pop that in. What's good about the macrame board is you can put the cord in the slots to keep it all tidy. So that is your square knot. Okay, so you can see the difference.
Yes, completely.
So you've got the twist at the top, and then we've got the square underneath. So what you can do is do 10 half stitches, 10 full square, 10 half, and you get this really nice alternating look, which is lovely.
Oh, that's fab.
Okay, so that's knot 1, knot 2, and knot 3.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you now knot 4 and knot 5.
Okay.
Just for reference, we won't be using that knot today. That'll probably be in a later show.
But then you've got them, and you can always watch this back, of course, and remind yourself, can't you?
So for this, you will need 2 cords.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll take the first one.
So are these ones a bit trickier?
No, actually.
No, just need 2 cords.
This is why some people are quite scared of macrame because it looks very complicated. But once you break down the knots, there are only 5, and in the Shambhala bracelet, you only use 1 of those 5. It's
actually really quite easy.
Yeah. So I've got my 2 cords. This time, I'm going to place both of them through a slot at the top.
Okay.
Bring them to the front, so exactly the same way, and then both cords in the top. Okay, so now you have your left cord and your right cord. So first of all, I'm going to show you the half hitch, and then you need to guess the full, the double half hitch.
Okay.
So you get a single half hitch and a double. So what do you think the difference is?
Just
you do it twice.
Twice, yeah.
This is so simple.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a trick question.
No. So,
okay.
Again, you alternate like you would with your square knot. Okay, so we're going to do the left side first, and this time, so again, we do our letter D, but instead of incorporating this second cord, that's going to stay there. Okay. All we're going to do is take the cord back, and so it's going to go over, back underneath, pull to the top. Then we're going to replace that cord, because we're doing half hitch, so you're only going to do 1. Pick up the right cord, letter P, which you've just been introduced to, underneath and up. Repeat. Left side. So all you're going to do for the half hitch is you're going to alternate. So letter D, underneath and up. Replace at the bottom. This is why the slots are invaluable in the macrame board, you see. And then we're going to go under and pull up. Replace.
So you're just alternating.
So
really,
all you're doing is you're just alternating. So I'll do a couple of these little knots, and then I'll show you how it looks, and then I'll show you the double half hitch.
Okay.
Now, of the 2, I think I probably prefer the single half, the ordinary half hitch.
Just because of how it looks?
Yes, yes. And sometimes you tend to find if you use a thicker cord, it just looks a bit cumbersome.
Right.
Personally for me. So I tend to stick with the half hitch, and you can, when I come to show you the difference, you can see more of a pattern.
Almost looks a bit like a plait, this one.
It does, absolutely, yes, yes. So if I show you the half hitch, okay, so if I bring this across, so that's the half hitch. So again, it's got a pattern. It's got a sort of like you said, it's like a plait.
Yeah,
with sort of a spiral thrown in. Okay.
Yeah.
So the double half hitch, which is not number 5, and we've covered them all.
I'm doing them all. Yeah, great.
Okay. So we're going to pick up, but this time we're going to do the left side once, left side twice.
Okay.
Then we're going to replace. Then we're going to pick up the right hand cord. Then we're going to do once. And twice. Bring to the top. So this is your double half.
So it's exactly the same, apart from you're doing it twice and then alternating.
You're doing it twice. Yeah. So once and twice and replace.
I mean, there's nothing that's been overly complicated so far.
So, I think all of these pieces I've shown you at the beginning in the introduction are just using these.
Because you look at your piece of jewellery and you think, I can't do that. And then you watch this and think, oh, I actually can.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So 1 and then 2. I'll do one more and then I'll show you the difference. It's not a stark difference, but there is definitely a difference.
Yeah, you can see that.
And then we'll do 1 and 2.
Amazing.
So if I replace that,
Yeah.
and then I show you the difference, there we go. So you can see, it's ever so
Ah,
slightly
yes,
different, but you can definitely see the difference.
Yeah, you can, definitely.
So you would use the half hitch and the double half hitch for the bracelets that I showed you a moment ago, if I bring these across.
Yeah.
So these here, this is using
yes.
the half hitch and the double half hitch. So we'll feature that in a future show.
Lovely.
Okay, but today I'm going to show you, now I've probably made, I don't know, it must be nearly 500 of these bracelets in various shows and various materials and
I mean, they're brilliant ones, of course, if you are somebody who wants to make to sell as well. Absolutely. I would think, because a lot of people love these designs.
Once
and
you
they're quite simple to do.
Once you learn the technique, you can make a full Shambhala in 10 minutes.
Oh, really? That quick?
And you could probably sell them at craft stores for anything between £3, £5, £7.
Yes,
and then depending on the gemstone, whether then you're then going to be using wire. So, and everybody knows a macrame bracelet is one of those things that everyone's
Gosh, 10 minutes. I did not think you were going to say
amazing.
that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to show you now how to do a full Shambhala bracelet.
Fab.
So that's what we're going to be making. Okay, so lazy strand first of all. Now, when you're making a bracelet, you will need the length of your macrame board plus half again on each side. So I just tend to cut 2 lengths of the macrame board. So use it as a rule. And I always do a little bit extra as well.
Yeah, just in case.
So 1 and 2.
Okay.
We're going to cut that off at the end. And then what I tend to do is make sure that you leave a good 6 inches of cord at the back because we need to do a slider clasp at the end. Okay? So again, to the back, to the front, underneath, and over the top. So that's now nicely secure. Okay. So gemstones. As I said, we're going to go to this amazing coated agate. First, as we mentioned earlier, you need to just check your drill hole first of all.
Yes.
And I think this is going to be absolutely fine. Now, when you're coming to do a Shambhala bracelet, it's not the law, but it's tradition when you're doing a Shambhala bracelet to only use odd numbers.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so 5, 7, 9, depending on the wrist size. Okay, and I think aesthetically it works better if you've got a bead in the centre.
Okay, dokes.
So let's go. What should we go? Should we go 7?
Yeah.
Let's do 7.
Sounds like a good one.
So we're going to thread on.
It's my favourite number.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so as you can see, I didn't need to do anything with the cord.
Isn't it?
The drill hole's perfect. Okay, so we're going to do 1. So you need to bear in mind when you're choosing your gemstones, is you'll need your beads for your bracelet, and then you will also need an extra 2 for the little dongles.
Oh, of course.
That sit under
drop
the
down
wrist.
at the back.
Yeah. And this type of bracelets are really nice if you've got a few beads left from a strand from another project, you see.
Yeah, can just go to your stash, can't you, and
absolutely.
take those
so
bits out.
We've got, how many we've got there? 5.
5.
Let's do another couple. So we've shown you how to do the square knots, and now I'm going to show you how to do the square knots and caging the beads as well, which just brings your work to life.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our 7 beads, and again, we've got that ready in position now. So lazy strand, it doesn't do anything, so we need to tie it down. So again, exactly the same way that I showed you a bit earlier. Yeah. In a slot, underneath the next slot, underneath, and pull nice and tight. Okay, so that's again, just give it a little strum. Take the beads out of the way. Now we need to do our working strand. So I'm going to say this slowly, so watch it back afterwards. Okay, so this is so your piece of thread for your bracelet, it needs to be 3 times the wrist size minimum. Okay, that's for your working strand. Okay, so once you've got that sussed, it may be less, it may be more, but once you've got that little routine in your head, it's 3 times the wrist size. Perfect. So what you could do, 7-inch wrist, you need 21 inches. Okay, so it's really neat. And if you're a new crafter to macrame, just write it down and pop it on your desk somewhere. So
and then it'll remind you, won't it?
Remind you, absolutely.
Okay.
So we're going to take our piece of cord. I'm pretty clued up now with the
you can just work it out by looking at it.
Absolutely. So because we don't want the beads to be under the wrist, you need to leave a bit of space. So what I tend to do is I do a series of square knots first, and then I start incorporating my beads. And I've got into the routine now of doing 5 square knots. Then incorporating the gemstones, 5 square knots at the end, and then I've got that symmetry. And then the beads will be sat at the top of the wrist, because there's nothing worse than having beads underneath and you're clanking on keyboards or on desks or things like that. So I've got my working cord. I didn't have to prepare the ends, but if you did want to, You cut at a 45-degree angle, and then do you remember at the beginning we talked about the nail varnish? Just put a little bit of nail varnish, and that will just stiffen the end of the cord, and it will act like a needle.
Super.
Okay, so we're going to take our cord underneath. Okay, so we've got, we're going to bring them both up so they meet, so you've got equal length. So we're going to do the square knot.
Okay.
So we're going to do the left side first of all. So just go back to our earlier demonstration of the knots. Okay, and it's just a thing I do, but I try if I can to line up.
Oh yes,
on the
then
grid.
it's on there.
Okay, so left and then right, left, right. So it's once you've got that square knot, it's very quick. It's really nice. What I tend to do, I used to do macrame workshops in the past.
Okay.
And what I'd get the ladies and gents to do is just do a row of square knots, a row of half square knots, and it's quickly how quickly it gets into your head. And
as soon as I suppose you've sort of mastered it, you're just then going to pick up your speed.
Do they call it muscle memory? I think they call it, don't they? And it just it
just stays, doesn't
over.
it?
Yes. So that's 6, and then 7, and 8. And what I'll do, I'll hold it up to the camera and I'll show you how you can find out how many knots you've actually made.
Okay, so if you haven't, you've lost count.
If you've lost count, yes. Okay, so that's my 10 half square knots or my 5 full square knots. Okay, so if I just show you on the top here, this always reminds me, if only knitters watching, it reminds me of pearl knitting. Okay. Because can you see we have these inverted V's, these V's?
Yes.
Can you see? So 1 V is 1 knot. 2 knots, 3 knots, 4 knots, 5 knots. So you just see how many V's you have, and that tells you how many square knots you've made. So obviously, if you've only got half a V at the end, you know you've still got the other half.
Yes, you need to do the other one. Yeah,
okay?
Lovely.
So that's our 5 beginner knots started, and then all we do, and this is lovely. People really, really want to get on with the beading. They just want to get the beads attached, and it's so lovely. So all we're going to do, starting from the bottom, we're going to slide up a bead, and we're going to tie a square knot, exactly the same that we've just been doing. So we do the left side first, and then we do the right side. Just give that a little pull there. Okay.
That's how easy it is to just kind of get the bead in place. Wow.
Then we take up bead number 2. If you want to, if you had a limited amount of beads, you could put more knots in between the beads, for example. But let's just do this. And then we'll do knot number 2. So we do the left-hand side, and then we do the right-hand side. So do you recognise the Shambhala bracelets?
I do, yes. But I, to be honest, I didn't expect, looking at the bracelet you showed us before, that it was that simple to actually encase the beads with the thread.
It's ridiculously easy. That's why I love macrame. So I've always loved macrame, and
because it just looks so effective, and yet this is taking you seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's number 4. And I said, if you have a strand of graduated gemstones, maybe from a 5mm up to a 12, to be able to graduate from small to large to small, that's a lovely effect as well. But just have a play in an experiment. I mean, because it doesn't take very long, if you halfway through you think, oh, I don't like this,
change it.
Just change it. Dismantle it and start again. It's only a bit of cord, isn't it? So I've used 7 beads on here, but if you decide after your 7 that it's not enough, all you do is you lift off your cord from your mat,
and you can just
add a couple more.
Oh, brilliant.
Or if you get to this point and you think, oh, I don't know, I think 5 was enough, you can unpick using your T-pins that we mentioned in the introduction, or a bead awl, unpick it, slide the bead off,
and just stick with 5.
Continue with that. So yes, it's very forgiving. So we've added our last bead, so what we need to do now is replicate the 5 knots that we did at the top.
Finish that side off.
So we're going to do the left side, and then the right side, and we're going to do the 5. So this is knot number 1, and then away we go to do our 5. So you can see how quickly I'm doing it now. And I've got to the point now where I double up the cord, and so I'm a lazy crafter. Anything that makes my job easier.
I'm just thinking it's a brilliant way to while away a train journey.
It is.
Because it's not taking up much space, so you can easily pop it on one of them little tables that's there. And
your little boy could pick this up very quickly.
He could.
Yeah.
Imagine giving that then to his nan. I mean, it would look amazing, wouldn't it? And it's like he actually did this.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this is number 5.
Yeah.
And as I said, if you lost count, just count the V's.
Yeah, it's a good tip, that, isn't it?
And you'll soon find out. Okay, so we've got 5 at the top. We've got 5 at the bottom.
Super.
Double check. We've got our 7 beads.
Yeah.
Okay, so make sure we have another 2, which we're going to use for our. I'm not sure if the technical term is dongle, but I've always called them the dongles, and it's something that's stuck.
I don't think it matters, does it? It's just
no, not at all. No. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take it off our board temporarily, like so. I will need that back in a moment.
Okay.
Now, can you see we have our lazy strand going up through the centre,
yes,
and then we have our 2 working strands.
Yeah.
So if you were using glue, you would place a little dab at the top of the last knot.
Okay.
You'd flip it over and you do a little dab of glue on the back.
Okay.
Now, because I'm using Essilon, which is a man-made nylon cord, this has the added bonus of you're able to melt it. Now, I understand everybody out there might not want to use a naked flame.
Yes,
okay?
yeah.
I've always used this with Essilon cord because you get a really nice, neat finish. And when we come to show you the sliding clasp, you'll see how invaluable using the naked flame is. Okay. So we've got tiny bit of thread on the right hand side, so that's the right hand side of our working. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut, leaving the tiny, I call it a tuft. Okay, so it's probably, I don't know, millimetre, tiny little tuft. And then using our naked flame, I mean, I'm using a cigarette lighter, but you can use, you can get barbecue lighters that are like long matches and things like that. You can use that if you want to. So we're just going to go in, and you can see it melts, and we're just going to squidge it into position.
Okay, perfect, yeah.
Then we're going to, and what happens is all of the fibres melt together.
Yes, yeah.
And it's just.
So you just need it there for literally a second.
Absolutely.
Until it's melted.
Yep. So again, we're going to go in, just leave that little tuft. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go in. And while I'm talking about the flame, make sure that you melt the blue part of the flame. So use the lower part.
Okay.
If you use...
Is that the hottest part?
That's the hottest part. And if you use the yellow part of the flame and you're using a pale coloured cord, it'll discolour the cord. It won't turn it black, but it'll turn it into a darker shade.
Yeah.
And if you're selling, you don't want to have different colour cords.
Okay.
So as you can see now, we've got a mirror image, left and right, of our 2 ends. So that's nice and secure. It's not going to come undone. We know that the beads are now caged. So that's the first part of the bracelet.
Okay.
And now we're going to do what the Shambhala bracelet is famous for, and this is the sliding clasp.
Yes.
Now what's invaluable about the sliding clasp is one size fits all.
Yeah.
So whoever you're buying for, you'll know that it's going to fit. Okay, so it could be small, it could be large.
Yeah, it's brilliant for gifting, isn't it?
Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you how to do that.
I've got tiny, tiny wrists, so I really struggle with bracelets. So I love it when they're like this, because you're like, it actually means it can fit and it will stay on. If not, they just fall off. So.
Absolutely. So this is the easiest way that I've found to do this. So again, you bring back your macrame board. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the 2 ends and we're going to fold them over in opposite directions. So they've overlapped. Okay. Pull the bracelet open just so you can see, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to do diagonally, we're going to use a corner. So we're going to put the 2 cords in the corner at the top, and then we're going to go diagonally across, making sure that the 2 cords lay parallel with each other. You don't want them crossing. Yeah. So keep them nice and flat into a slot. And I found it easier if you have your work on the same side as you're going to be knotting, because sometimes it may go over to the back. So just make sure that your beads are on the same side as you're going to be knotting. Then you can turn it straight on. And then what you're going to do, you're going to treat this as another lazy strand, in effect. Yeah. So we're going to take a piece of cord. Let me cut a new piece. Any excuse? Any excuse to use my scissors.
With your name on.
With my name on. So what we're going to do then is with our new piece of cord, we're going to take our cord underneath, and we're going to tie a series of square knots, which we're now all expert at because we've made plenty of those.
Yeah, of course,
So again, I tend to do, if I'm doing a full, proper Shambhala bracelet, I tend to do 10 full square knots, and that gives you about 1.5 inches.
Right,
So we'll do the left and right. And then we've got our left and right. If it gets a bit fiddly, what you can do is, with your pair of scissors or a bead awl, for example, if you have one, is just place underneath just to lift it ever so slightly,
Oh,
and that gives you a bit of space.
Makes it a little
underneath.
easier as well. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do a few more. And this is where it's invaluable, if you're using an S-long cord, to use the flame technique, because I will show you what can happen if you're a bit overzealous with your glue.
Right.
Okay, so you can already see the square knots starting to form, so you can count them. Yes, so I would normally do 10, but I'll do 5 for the demonstration.
And this is going to create the slidey bit.
This will create the. I'll do a couple more.
Yeah,
we've got time.
Yeah, we have. Absolutely. I just find it really soothing. I just want to sort of just stand and watch you. I'm just like, this is lovely.
It's so therapeutic. It's lovely. Okay, so that's the left and then the right. Right. So we've got a nice row of square knots there. So we're going to take it off exactly the same way. So this is where you just need to take a bit of time, just checking sure you don't cut the wrong cord.
Yes.
And you tend to find that your working cords will be horizontal and your lazy strands will be vertical. Okay.
Yeah.
So the whole point of having a slider clasp is you're able to slide it from side to side.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're using your glue and you put too much, the glue will go through the knot, attach itself to your workings, to your lazy strand.
And it'll be stuck.
And it'll be stuck. You won't be able to. So this is where using the lighter technique comes into its own. So let's just pull that nice, and let's pull it a little bit tighter, like so. So the first thing we're going to do is, again, those are our working strands which we need to dispose of.
Okay.
So we're going to do exactly the same as we did earlier. We're going to cut, leaving a little tuft.
Yeah.
We're going to melt it, again with the blue part of the flame. You see how quickly it melts.
Yes,
and then now I use my finger, I've got asbestos fingers being a gardener, but you can use a pair of pliers, a pair of flat nose pliers from if you have a jewellery making toolkit. Then we're going to turn it over. Again, make sure we don't cut the wrong cord.
Yeah.
So this is probably the most important. Just take your time with this bit.
Definitely, because that'd be the most devastating. You cut through the main bit.
You'd have to start again. You'd have to start again. Yeah. So just going to go in. And what this means, you see, is all of the melting has happened on the outside.
Yes.
So it's not attaching itself to the lazy cord running down the centre.
So it's not going to make any difficulties with sliding.
Okay, and then all we're going to do is we're just going to pull our bracelet. So it's a very small bracelet, a little child's bracelet, for example. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make the dongles.
Okay.
So we're going to place our bracelet on our mat. We're going to take each of our cords and we're going to place a gemstone on one. Then we're going to put a gemstone on the other side.
Okay.
Slide that down. And then you need to decide on the length of your dongle. Okay. So what I tend to do is at this point, just tie a temporary knot to the bottom of your cord.
Okay.
Hold it up to the wrist line. So let's do it, shall we? So let's open it up. So let's say I'm going to be wearing it, so it needs to be big enough to get it on my wrist.
Yes.
So you just keep opening it until it's large enough. I think that's probably going to be it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's do a bit more. There we go. That's probably too big. So at that point, then let's tighten that a little bit. This is why one size fits all, you see. So this would fit me and it would fit you, you see. It's the same piece of jewellery. I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
So what you need to make sure is that bead is butting up against. Can you see? Is butted up against.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Up against the slider.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll take that off. Take that off like so. So that was the point where I had to get it on my wrist.
Okay, dokes.
So what we're going to do then is we're going to take that gemstone up to the sliding clasp. We're going to tie our knot nice and tight. Make sure we don't get that knot caught. There we go. Push that underneath. Do the same, because at this point now you've got the right length, you see. So do the same with the other. So we're going to feed that up. Make our knot. And again, they can be any length. So at this point, I'm going to pull that nice and tight. And I know that's at the right length. So at this point now, I can make sure that this is so it's just so you're just making sure that knot is at the same length, which is perfect. And then there are two ways of finishing. You can either cut probably about 1 centimetre off of the end and just leave that as a little tie.
Okay.
Or with the other side, once we've tied our knot, is we can do what we did with the strands, is we go in, leaving a little tuft, melt the end so the knot isn't going to come undone, give it a little squidge, and then we have our 2 dongles on our bracelet. Yeah. And obviously that's a very small bracelet for me. So all we would do all we would do then is just open it out, pop it over the wrist, and then we know that that's going to fit not only me, but it's going to fit you as well. And as I said, we've got this purple version here. This is using a gemstone called cloudy quartz. Okay. And once you've done that, you see, you can then do double rows, and then your triple rows, and then you can move on using your half and double hitch. So good, isn't it? And then you can start incorporating wire. Yeah. And it's just amazing. And so I've gone through tools of the trade. Exactly. We've gone through all the cords that we've got available. Yeah. I've shown you that all of the five knots. And we've used one of them, which is probably the most famous, which is the square knot. That's brilliant. To make your Shambhala bracelet, which is probably the most recognisable jewellery on the high street at the moment. Well, so thank you so much, because it's just fabulous. And I think it's just amazing to see how easy you can actually put these bits together. I'd love to now. Yes, I will. 100%. And now I'm like, I could do that. Yeah, absolutely. And if you have enjoyed what you've seen Mark doing, we do have a dedicated channel called JewelleryMaker. It's on Sky 674. It's also on Freeview 72, and you can watch it, of course, live on our website as well, if that's the easiest way for you. And it's on every day live, 8 until 1 p.m. But of course, you can always watch the repeats and things like that as well if you can't join us at that time. On our website as well, so the JewelleryMaker website, it has all of the products. So anything that you've seen sort of being used in this, if you want to get similar bits, you can go on there and get them. All your tools, your gemstones, your threads, everything like that. And what's amazing is on there, there's also a hub area. So with that, there's lots of inspiration, there's loads of techniques, there's advice, so you can really sort of hone in on what you're interested in as well, and find out extra sort of little tips and things like that to get you started. Isn't it? It's a real community with all of the crafts. There's a great community on Facebook, isn't there, as well, where people share their makes, and you get sort of taught to like-minded people, which is lovely also. It's great fun. Thank you so much. We always love having you, obviously, and start to finish there, I think makes it possible for all of us. So keep your eyes out to learn so much more, of course, from our hobby starter shows. But that is Mark showing us how to do these fabulous bracelets.